7-6, 7-6.
Hello and welcome to episode 9 of the Tennis Asia podcast. And on this show, we'll talk about those hectic post-Roland Garros and pre-Wimbledon few weeks with focus on Triple Z, Osaka, Zheng, as well as the old podcast favourites Kwon, Jerry Shang and Crystal Jang. And joining me here to navigate through everything is Mr. Tennis Asia himself, Mr. Eddie McGee. Eddie, it's been a long time.
It has been a long time. I've been quite busy with various things, some non-tennis things, but finally we're actually back focused on the tennis, and it's a great time to do it because Wimbledon's about to start.
Yeah, the last time I talked to you on a Monday night actually was, I think, in a Haebangchon dive bar around about 2.5 weeks ago, and you were like, shall we go live? And I was like, yeah, let's go live, but we actually fumbled the connection, so we didn't. So it was probably a good thing that that we actually didn't. Actually, we went for a kebab after that, and then we all. Oh, you didn't go? Yeah. All we needed was a fight in a taxi rank, and we would have had the Great British Night Out. But it was good. But anyway, on to business, and look, let's start at the top. Asia's number one, Triple Z, Zhang Zhizhen. He's earned himself a ranking that will see him seeded at Wimbledon after, I think, at least one top 32 player, Jiri Lehecka, has already pulled out.
Yeah.
He tore things up in Halle. He got his second victory over a top 5 player, and he came through, I think, three setters. It was a brilliant tournament for him.
Yeah, I mean, making a 500 semi-final is great for him anyway, but also just to do it on grass. Obviously, he's showing now that he's quite capable on clay and on the hard courts, and now we see him now performing very highly here now in Halle, and only eventually losing, and no shame in doing so, against Jannik Sinner. Getting that victory as well over, I think it's his third top 10 victory. He got a victory over Daniil Medvedev, and I think it's actually his second top 5 victory as well, because he beat...
Second top 5, yeah.
Yeah, he beat Casper Ruud at the US Open. Was that last year? Yeah, so... Yeah. I mean, he's showing... And he's surprising many people, I think. I think he's exceeded expectations even from people like myself and others who are following tennis closely. And yeah, I mean, he's doing really well. I mean, that victory over Medvedev, I mean, Medvedev is maybe not... He's not been in best form recently by his own standards, and on the grass, he's a little bit less comfortable than you might expect. But yeah, that was a great one for him to get the victory, Zhang Zhizhen, in 3 sets. And then finally going into the semi-final, he also came through a tough 3-setter against Chris Eubanks, who of course serves big and well. Yeah, he's performed very well on the grass. He got to the quarterfinals, didn't he, last year in Wimbledon? So, yeah, it was a difficult match, that one, to come through. But he did come through in the end. And when he played Sinner, it really just came down to, the tail end of the set.
It was small margins, wasn't it? It was small margins in both sets.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it came down, it was like 4-all, 30-all, crucial point in that first set. And then Zhang Zhizhen hit a double fault. And, yeah, it's just one of these things. He ended up hitting 2 double faults in the whole match. So I mean,
just at the wrong time.
And of course, Jannik Sinner. That's why he's number 1 in the world. This is the first tournament he was playing as number 1, and yeah, he quickly took control there, making sure to smack home that second serve return that he had, and then following up. So I mean, for Zhang though. He did get better, actually, I thought, in the second set. And I felt like, probably just, he's having to go for it right now. The pressure's off. But he stayed completely competitive in that second set right until the tiebreak, when, again, it was just down to not playing those crucial moments quite as well as obviously Sinner. He's not going to give you, he's not going to let you get away with any poor play.
You're not going to get any free points, no.
No. But yeah, I was really impressed though with Zhang because some of his hitting was exceptionally good on both sides as well. I mean, the forehand has often been a little bit less reliable, but of course he can absolutely rip it on that side. A bit more error prone, maybe though, on that side. But even the forehand was, he was hitting some superb ground strokes. Like I was quite impressed.
I think you tweeted that, didn't you? Like some of the best hitting that you'd seen from him in forever, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. But then, I mean, it's like ATP. I mean, that felt like a top 20 sort of level hitting that he was coming out with. I mean, now he's lost here, but he moves up to 33 in the rankings, a new career high.
Right.
Yeah, as you said, Jerry Halahechka has withdrawn, which means that he will, unless he has to withdraw himself, he will be going in as at least the number 32 seed at Wimbledon, and that's the first time for him to be seeded at Slam, and for it to come at Wimbledon is pretty interesting.
So he's drawing Berrettini in the first round, obviously.
Yeah, I mean that's just the most, by far the most dangerous non-seeded player there, Berrettini. But I mean, if you can get a decent draw, a half decent draw, then we might be able to go on a little bit of a run, I think. Of course, it all depends what seeded if he's in the number 32 seed. He will face one of the top 16 seeds in the third round, or they're projected to. Of course, it would depend who he's drawn against. I mean, if it's Yannick Sinner again, we don't expect him to get through that one. But yeah, but nonetheless, of course, these draws will open up. We'll see what happens when it comes out. But
I think he's playing. He is playing Eastbourne as well before Wimbledon. I think he's got Kekmanovic in the first round on Tuesday.
Yeah, and I think on grass that should be one that Zheng will be feeling pretty confident about.
Should be winning. Yeah.
Kekmanovic is not as adept. But I would say that, I mean, it's a bit, you could say it's a bit risky. Some players just like to keep that winning feeling going. So he wants to continue here in Eastbourne. I think maybe he had some points dropping off. So he maybe from this time last year. So he might just want to keep that going. But I mean, it's of course like it's good match practice as well to have actual matches just before the tournament. Yeah. And grass anyway tends to be a little bit less intensive in terms of the rallies anyway. So hopefully for him, he'll be get a few wins under his belt and head into Wimbledon fresh. But
I can tell you're not going to be Emma Raducanu's next coach, as you say. It's always good to have match practice in. But,
talking about Emma Raducanu, she is playing in Eastbourne though, and yeah. But and you know who else was supposed to be playing in Eastbourne but withdrew just before the tournament was Osaka, Naomi Osaka.
Let's talk about Osaka actually, and we did have another tennis Asia Bowl at the Berlin Grass Court Championships. I think that was over a week ago now. Time really does fly in tennis. Naomi Osaka faced off with Jang Qinwen in a match that was probably worthy of being better than a round of 32, but it was a good match. It went to 3 sets, didn't it?
Yeah, and that was, of course, for a round of 32 match, first round match, that's certainly a really big one. Naomi Osaka against Zheng Qinwen. And Naomi, she hasn't actually played on grass before this season since 2019.
Right.
So it's been so long for her, and she hasn't, been able to build up the results and the success on this surface like she has done on the hard courts. Of course, she's got a big game, and you think that could potentially translate well to grass. And in the previous tournament in was it in the Netherlands, the Roosmalen Open, she actually did pretty well because she came through in straight sets against Elise Mertens and then local player Susan Lamens, and then lost in 3 sets though. It was a tight match though to Bianca Andreescu, who's on the sort of comeback now, and Andreescu ended up reaching the final there. So coming into this, you thought maybe Osaka might be in a good opportunity for Zhang against Zheng, who hasn't, had results on much experience on the grass. So, but no, Zheng was the player who came out on top. She came through in 3 sets, 6-4, 3-6, 6-3, and you do wonder if she does come in with extra motivation, Zhang, after her, sort of ex-coach.
We're still going about the coach, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, because, she came out really strongly because Zhang hit 23 aces in that match.
Right.
And she does have a big first serve. And so that is something that could definitely help her coming into grass season, coming into Wimbledon.
Right.
The problem with Zhang is that she tends to have a very low first serve percentage. If she's getting, I think she averages like 50%. So, but when she does get in, it tends to be very high, the number of points she's winning. So in this particular match, she won 88% of points on her first serve.
Right.
And she had 53% in, which is, it doesn't seem high, but that's quite a lot. But she hit 23 aces. She also hit 7 double faults. But that's maybe indicative of the fact that she was really, sort of going big. But Osaka did come back into it. I saw that, and she looked to be playing well. But then, of course, Zhang, she came through that match, but then she lost in the next match. It didn't play anywhere near as well. She lost, so in straight sets to Siniakova. I think it's definitely still a surface where they need to adapt a little bit. When it comes down to the tournament, though, of course, it's going to be quite draw dependent on how well they actually do.
Sure.
I mean, I think with Zheng obviously being highly seeded, that's that's definitely going to potentially count in her favor. But I do think I don't think it's not been the best preparation for Naomi, and she's decided not to play Eastbourne. Maybe she just wants to have good practices before Wimbledon. But I think maybe because we've seen what happened. She played a great match at the French Open. Obviously, she's got the big game experience, so I wouldn't be surprised if she goes on a little bit of a run in Wimbledon. Am I expecting her to win the tournament? No, but I think she's definitely.
She feels the pressure is off, doesn't she? Just like on clay, she feels that on grass the pressure is off. There's no expectation to win, and that's generally when she plays her best tennis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And it's going to be the main focus for her. Yeah, if she does get a good run here in Wimbledon, it'll feel like a bonus almost. But then, looking ahead to the hard court season in North America is going to be the big one for her.
So Osaka doesn't play this week. She goes straight to Wimbledon as a wild card. I don't think Zheng Qinwen, I don't think she plays this week either. I think she's going straight to Wimbledon as well.
Yeah.
Moving back to the men's, China's number 2, Shang Zhizhen, Jerry Shang, as we know him on this podcast. He's been in England as well. He played Surbiton. He lost in the first round here. He did go a little bit deeper in the Nottingham Challenger last week. He beat Alex Bolt, which is always going to earn points with us. This is criminal. Before losing to another of those beautifully Lawn Tennis Association named guys called Jacob Fernley. I can't quite remember which round it was. I think it was the
it was in the quarterfinals.
Quarterfinal.
Yeah, I did watch that match. I mean, for Shang, with these coming into these British challengers, you've all got a lot of these British guys who are, and it's such a short, swing as well.
Short season, isn't it?
But then you've got these British guys who are particularly depth on the grass. I mean, Billy Harris is. I mean, you might have thought when he lost that one, Shang, he lost 6-3.
That was in Surbiton, yeah.
7-6 into Surbiton, yeah. But Billy Harris ended up going on a bit of a run himself because, well, in Surbiton, he got to the semi-finals, lost to Lloyd Harris. I mean, Lloyd Harris was the eventual champion there. I mean, he's been doing very well recently. I beat, Billy Harris himself, and then he goes to the semis in Nottingham, and then he gets to the quarters in Queens. So, and this is,
Right.
he's at the tail end. Well, I say tail end of his career. He's 29 years old. So, yeah, but so he's just suddenly hit a great patch here. So for Zhang, yeah, it's difficult one for him to lose that. But going into Nottingham, yeah, again, came through pretty well. I mean, I think for Shang, yeah, it's just going to take a little bit of time for him to get used to. I think he can play well on grass. I mean, he's still, of course, he's only 19. He's got very little experience on the surface. But when he lost to, you said Jacob Fernley. Actually, Jacob Fernley's he's actually from Scotland. He's born in Scotland, or he's from near Edinburgh, yeah. So it was interesting, yeah, because he's sort of coming along just as Murray seems to be disappearing, unfortunately.
Is he the new Murray?
Well, he Fernley. Well, I don't know if he's a new Murray, but he's going to be like, let's just say, the best Scottish player now. But yeah, he actually ended up winning that tournament and got a wild card for Wimbledon as a result.
So Wimbledon, yeah.
But then, yeah, for Shang though, he's come down to Eastbourne and I think it's a good decision.
He's due on court any moment right now, isn't he? He came through the qualifiers in Eastbourne. He's playing Echeverry. So by the time we publish this podcast, he could either be through
Otta and Hussey. Yeah, he came through the qualifiers. Yeah, he will play Thomas Martin Echeverry, who's the number 7th seed. I definitely think that's actually he got a good chance of winning that. Yeah, he was very upset when he lost to Fernley. I mean, Fernley was playing very well, but I mean, for Shang, he's probably just seeing. I mean, I think he smashed the racket off his own foot.
Oh, right, yes.
I think he might have actually broken the racket off his own leg, which is something you don't see very much. But I mean, for him, he's probably. I don't know. I don't know if players always know. Some players maybe leave the research on their opponents maybe more to their coach, whether they get involved themselves. But because I mean, Fernley is just someone who is. He actually was playing in America the college system, and he's just finished college, which is a sort of the same path as Cameron Norrie's, actually the same college that he went to. So his ranking was very, very low before, because he'd only played when he had the off season from the colleges, and he played some, but he's won a lot of matches when he has played the pros. But yeah, so maybe Shang was a little bit taken aback by the level that Fernley produced in that one. But that's just the way it is. I mean, there's a lot of tough guys out there at this sort of level, at the challenger level even. But I think this is good for Shang to sort of, get used to, playing on this surface, and he can get some matches under his belt here, and he'll go into the main draw next week. So we'll see how he gets on. But he's got a lot of talent, and I do think he can get some results on this surface. I think, problem for him is maybe the serve isn't quite as consistent as he would like it to be, but he's definitely got weapons.
Not necessarily going to get the 3 points that the big servers do on the grass. Now, changing gears a little bit, the week we started this podcast, we were in Busan. I know you were in Busan last week. I'm not sure if that was tennis courting or just regular courting. I'm not quite sure what that was. I'll be in Busan tomorrow, actually. We went to the 125, and you interviewed Kwon Soonwoo, among others, and he was remarkably sanguine about what we called the imminent end of his career, because he's got a 20 months stint in the Korean army coming up. And he told you, no, it's okay, I can come back. I've got 10 years ahead of me in my career. And it turns out that maybe Kwon Soonwoo knew something, and he isn't going to necessarily have to grind his way back from being totally unranked. Tell us about the developments that have happened
Oh
over the
yeah.
past week or so.
So yeah, this is very big news for Kwon and
Huge, yeah.
for his compatriot as well, Hong Sung Chan, who's actually the Korean number one currently, because they're both set to do their mandatory military service, as all Korean males have to do by a certain age. Yeah, so he's planning to start that at the end of this season, and it's got to be at least 18 months, I think. And
Yeah.
yeah, which is obviously you would think would be detrimental to a tennis player's career. Or
Especially at the age Kwon is, that he's
yeah,
very late 20s now, and
yeah. How old is he now? 26 or yeah, 26.
yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, this is like it's sort of getting into the sort of the peak of his career, and then yeah, of course it's difficult. But then now, since last month in May, there was a change of the ATP rulebook to include protected ranking protection for those who, not only for those who are injured or have a medical problem, but those who have to do a mandatory military service, which comes very convenient time for Kwon and Hong. I mean, you have to imagine that. I mean, I know that there was some news about it and stuff, but I do wonder whether Kwon's coaches or there's people there pushing for that to happen. And to be fair, it's a reasonable thing for them to put in the rules, I think, because it's. I mean, obviously,
this happens in Europe, doesn't it? I mean, Switzerland, Greece, Norway, they all have mandatory military service. It's not quite as long as the Korean one. But...
yeah, and then the rules it's still the same thing. It has to be at least 6 months out. So
right.
I do wonder how that's going to work in sense that so if they stop playing, and yeah, obviously they're going to be stopped playing for at least 6 months, but then he might be able to sort of compete in like some local events, maybe using that protected ranking. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not sure how that's going to work. Obviously, there's not that many Korean events anyway, so which would have been the problem with him just coming back from scratch. It's like you're not going to get many wild cards. You're not going to get many of these. But yeah, but obviously very good for Kwon and for Hong and any other players that might have they don't get as much recognition. Maybe lower ranked players that have to do their their military service. And then of course there could be other countries. I mean people that might have to do military stuff as well. I mean, we got some countries that are at war right at the moment.
That's true. Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So there's always going to be situations where this could happen. So
Kwon's only tennis, he got through the first round, obviously, at Roland Garros. His only tennis since then has been that doubles in that really weird event in Daegu. I think he actually got to the final with Park Sung-min. They were absolutely destroyed by Jaemin Lee and Mingyu Song.
So
it was such a weird tournament, that one.
Yeah, I mean, I can only think that, because he was hoping to, obviously, with Wimbledon coming up, the net skills, if you can harness them, is something important. He decided to play this low-level ITF event in, where was it, Daegu? It was only a 15K. He played doubles with a young. I can't remember who was playing. It was a young Korean player, right?
Sun-min Park.
Yeah, so he's only like 18 or something.
Who I accept I'd never heard of.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a bit of a strange one, but I mean, they breezed through it, didn't they, until the final. But but then that's when Kwon actually got injured, and I think that's why, because I wasn't able to watch it, but they lost badly, right? And I read
they lost like 6-1, 6-1 or something.
And I read in the Korean news when I found out, which is where I found out that Kwon might be getting the protected ranking for his military service. He mentioned that actually he stood on a ball that he didn't see and actually went over in his ankle, and so he twisted his ankle before the match, but then I think it was he said that he decided to play anyway because there was loads of people there. who wanted to come to see him.
Everyone to come to see him. Yeah,
and I guess maybe because it's doubles,
I can believe that. I can believe that of Kwon, actually. Like seeing him in Busan and that, I can believe that of him.
Yeah, of course, yeah, because and as well, yeah, he did that in Busan because he played against Lloyd Harris and won. But that's after that match. I think he actually hurt himself in that match. So anyway, players. For him, he probably thought like I could just play doubles and he could just do it. But they didn't.
I can phone it in. Yeah. But they did phone it in as it happened.
Anyway, though, for Kwon, he'll just be looking to. He's obviously going to play Wimbledon, and
the Olympics.
I think now, from what I checked in his schedule, he's going to be entering a few clay tournaments. So that's going to be obviously with one eye on the Olympics, which is being played at Roland Garros on clay. He will be hoping that's his last chance to get out of the military service. If he can actually win at least a bronze medal, then he will get exemption from that. Well, I think maybe he just only has to do 4 weeks or something like that. But which is obviously much better.
The Son Heung-min service. Yeah, but so it's a bit of a Hail Mary though, isn't it? It's going to be hard.
It's hard, yeah, and really. At least if, as we expect, he probably won't get that done, he can hopefully build up some points that will add to his ranking before he does actually have to go to the military service. And
when he goes, he's got a ranking around about 100 to protect. Yeah. Okay, so it's Wimbledon, the Olympics, and then a rifle for Kwon. Now, the reason both of us got into Asian tennis, I'm pretty sure, was Crystal Zhang Su-jeong. She's been missing for a month, but she has resurfaced in Europe. She lost a 3-setter in the first round in Portugal a couple of weeks ago, but last week she went to, and forgive my pronunciation, Olomouc in the Czech Republic at 75. And talk us through what happened next. She was outstanding.
Yeah, Zhang Zhizhen, the Korean number one, and the women's side, she has a very good record on clay, and I do wonder why she maybe doesn't play it more often, because statistically on her professional win-loss record, that's her best surface in terms of win percentage. She came through this tournament.
She won that 125 in Sweden last year, didn't she?
Yeah. 3 matches she came through. Yeah, that's right. So that wasn't last year. It was the year before. She won. That's her biggest title. Yeah, the WTA 125 in Bastad in Sweden. And then obviously she's come here. She's won 3 matches with straight sets, and then she lost the first set in the semi-final 6-4, but then came back 6-2, 6-love against the local player Pastikova. So. Yeah, and then she went into the final. It didn't go as planned. She lost to Bondar, the Hungarian player, Anna Bondar. But it was 6-3, 7-6, and a 7-4 in the tiebreak. But for Jang, I didn't see all that much, but she was down 6-3 and then down a double break 4-1 and then brought it back. She did fight back well to bring it back from a double break, and then she got obviously to a tiebreak and lost it. But she still managed to make it somewhat close in the end. But I think she now goes to she's still continuing on the clay. So she's now playing in
because her ranking is not high enough to get into Wimbledon qualifying. Yeah.
Actually, should be getting quite close. What's her ranking now? So it's 232 in the live rankings. That might be enough, for getting in not qualifying for Wimbledon. Sorry, that's already started. For the US Open though, because I think she's still got a few weeks for that anyway. So, but now she's in another tournament in Doski? Wait, was it Doski? Yeah, the Maka Lake Open. But that's she said that it's the number 6 seed, and she'll play Gabriella Lee, and then she might have to play Irina Burillo Escorajuela, who we mentioned previously, because that was Tsujima's opponent before. But she'll do that, and then I think she's going to continue in Montpellier, which is another clay tournament. So she's choosing to focus on the clay. Maybe she's realised that's the best way to do it.
That's
If
our
she needs to get the
surface.
points
Yeah.
back, she does need to get points back on the board so she can get
does,
into the
yeah.
qualies for US Open. And I mean, we'll look forward to that.
You mentioned her briefly, and I will say we just do need to make a couple of notes on this pod's favourites. First of all, Moyuka Uchijima, the machine. The machine has malfunctioned a little bit since coming onto this deeply weird surface called grass. She came through qualifying in Birmingham. They call it Birmingham these days. In my day, it used to be called Edgbaston. I'm pretty sure it's still the same. It is Edgbaston. It's the same tournament. She came through the qualifying. She lost to Harriet Dart in the first round there. And then she came down to Eastbourne and she lost to Greet Minnan, who's that's a pretty difficult one to come up against in qualies, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to come through the qualies actually was pretty good for her because, I mean, I don't think she's got much experience on this surface. And I think, like, one of the reasons she does so well in the clay, I mean, she does have a bit of power, but also it's that forehand which is quite spinny, quite loopy, which obviously is effective on a clay court. That's going to be less effective on the grass where it bounces lower and it skids more. So,
right.
But nonetheless, it came through qualies and got to Birmingham, which is a WTA event. So that's going to be, she's going to have more opportunities to play now that she's got her ranking up, right? So she's,
right.
Where is she now? I can't remember her ranking. She's within the top 80, right?
She's 80, 73, I think, something like that.
Yeah. So in the live, she will be. I'm going to just check just quickly because
accuracy is important.
It is important. Okay, no, she's actually at 67, so you were selling her short there. Yeah,
better than both of us thought. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but that's obviously a great ranking because that will allow her to get into more of these tournaments, WTA events, without having to go through qualies. She didn't get through in Eastbourne, but now she goes into the Wimbledon main draw. Let's see how she does. She might get a decent draw to start off, and then she'll. I think she'll be...
Or she might draw Naomi Osaka as a wild card. Who knows?
Yeah. But, that's all good experience.
Or Raducanu. That'd be great.
That would be interesting. But I mean, probably, not much. If she does get some matches under her belt, that would be great. I mean, I think she does have opportunities, though, to go on when we get into the North American hard court. She can do well. I'm not sure if she's actually going to play. Actually, she's down to play Budapest, which I believe would be a clay court
second
tournament.
Week of Wimbledon, or
no, after Wimbledon.
Okay.
So I believe that would be clay. I mean, that's fair enough for her because she's obviously very adept on the surface. So, but yeah, let's see how she goes, and then.
Does she get into the Olympics, by the way? Or?
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Thanks
she does?
for reminding me. Yeah, she is. She's in the Olympics. She has been selected. I believe. She will be playing for Japan. Her ranking is high enough once the withdrawals and everything were taken into account. And yeah, it'll be her. And I think Naomi Osaka I think they're the only two in the singles. Naomi is using her protected ranking. So yeah, I mean, that'll probably be pretty exciting for her to be leading the team there. Well, it's just the two of them.
One over there, and Naomi Osaka hates clay almost as much as I do. But one other, obviously, podcast favourite, Coleman Wong. Coleman Wong's in England. He lost the first round challenges in both Nottingham and in Ilkley. I didn't even know they had a tournament in Ilkley. He is in Wimbledon qualifying action tonight, so he's probably out by the time that we actually publish this podcast. He's playing the 24th seed, Zachary Savajda. That does actually bring us on to our final sort of topic for tonight, which is the Wimbledon qualifying. Yeah. I'll be honest, I'm flying a little bit blind, even more than usual with this, but any thoughts on Wimbledon qualifying?
Yeah, so I'm going to just try and go through the Wimbledon qualies, so one by one. So, it's actually already started as we record this podcast. In the first section of Asian interest, was Shu Yu Shou of Taiwan, he lost already to Maxime Janvier 7-5, 6-3.
Janvier, yeah.
I mean, it's not too surprising. Show he's more adept on the hard courts, and yeah, I kind of thought he wasn't going to get through this section. And then we've also got in the next section, Mikhail Kukushkin, the veteran, but he did come through in straight sets against Ukraine's Vitaly Sachko.
Okay.
And yeah, I did think because Kukushin had a few good results recently, he's also hits a very flat ball, which is very good and effective on this surface. And I do think he has a good chance to get through. Other players in that section are Dino Primožič, the guy who pushed Djokovic at the Australian Open this year. The 4 sets, he played an excellent match,
Right.
but I think he's not quite as adept. He won't be so effective on this surface. But Clement Tabor, he defeated in the first round, so he goes through. I think, but then also in that section is Shintaro Mochizuki, who's a former Wimbledon junior champion from Japan, right? But he was playing Gas.
He's got Hugo Gaston. What's Gaston doing in qualifiers? Isn't his ranking like really high?
No,
Has he dropped off? Or?
Yeah, but actually, Hugo Gaston came through that one in straight sets, 7-6,
Oh, he's done
6-4.
Okay.
So it's already done. So for Mochizuki's already out. Yeah, it was a tough opener against Gaston to play him.
I was surprised to see Gaston in qualifiers. To be quite honest.
Yeah, I mean he's the second seed, so he's up near there. So I mean, his ranking. He's just outside the top 100, I think. So. Just missed out on the main draw, but of course he has been up higher than that. But his ranking has dropped down.
Hong Song Chan, he's got Pierre Hubert.
Yeah, so that's right in the next section. So difficult opener. He's already a set down. I don't expect him to get through that one. Pierre Hubert, he's quite adept on this surface, big serve, and he obviously can play well at the net. His doubles experience, I mean, he's not at the level he was, but it's someone that's definitely more comfortable on this surface. And then even if Hong gets through that, he'll play, I think, Zizou Bergs, who is in form of his life at the moment. So, I don't expect him to get through that one. But nonetheless...
Speaking of Zizou Bergs, I did see Zizou Bergs, I don't know if it's his mother or his father, one of them have a Twitter account, and they were, like, begging...
Yeah, I think it's... Kornberg's his dad, right? Yeah.
Is it his dad? I'm not sure. Yeah, it doesn't have many followers, but it was begging like, hey, guys, if you've got an automatic thing and you're injured, please withdraw.
Also in that section, we've got Denis Yevseyev of Kazakhstan. But moving further down the draw, we talked about Coleman Wong. He's got a tough draw, though, against Zachary Schweider, the American, another young, up-and-coming American, but who's the 24th seed here. I think, Coleman's only had 2 matches this grass season, lost both of them. I don't think he's had. The first one was against Billy Harris, who we talked about before, and he lost straight sets to Napolitano and Ilkley. Yeah, Coleman Wong. I mean, he does have a decent first serve, so that's something that could be used on grass well. But I think the problem for him is that he's just really not quite as comfortable on this surface as he can be on the hard courts. He's got to get used to that bounce, right? He doesn't seem to get under his shots. You've got to get low on this surface to do well. And obviously for some players it takes a little bit more time to get used to that. But I'm not particularly expecting him to get through that one at all. But let's see what happens. And then we've also got on the 7th section, so the Kazakh player, Babit Zhukayev, who is born and bred from Kazakhstan. But he also has, I mean, that's a pretty tough section, I think. You've got 7th seed Barrier, you've got Jay Clark playing against Diego Schwartzman. But then Zhukayev has to play Rodionov, who is also, an experienced player who's not an easy one to have in qualifying. But Zhukayev himself is very tall player, has a big serve, so he could actually, if he can have a very good serving performance, he does have chances to get through, but then he might have to play Hamad Medvedev, who's a rising Serbian player. So it's a tough section, but I think for each of those players, it's going to be tough. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out. One match that's already finished is Bu Yunchao-Kete's match. He played the 23rd seed Terence Atmen of France, and he came from a set down. He lost the first set, tiebreak, and then won the match.
Fantastic.
Took the second set 7-6, and then final set 6-2. Yeah, I did think Bu would have a good chance here because, yeah, he did pretty well actually last season, if I remember. He just played a few grass challengers, but then he played one of the events. Maybe Nottingham, and then he came through qualies and then won the first round match, and then he lost only to Andy Murray, but it was a decent match.
Right.
He ran Andy Murray pretty close, and back then Andy Murray was playing better, right? But
had a functioning leg. Yeah.
Just a functioning body. I think the latest thing with his back now, but unfortunate for him. But I mean, then he plays. Bu now goes on to play Radu Albot, and then the winner of that the other side is going to be Galan or Gabriel Diallo. I think possibly Diallo will get through that one. But I think that's a great chance for Bu, actually. So we'll see how that goes. He does seem to be someone that is, unlike Coleman Wong, but more, he's able to handle the grass a bit better, and he moves well, and he does seem, I think also he serves pretty well, and maybe that just gives him a little bit, he's going to get a little bit extra on the grass, and then, it's just a case of he doesn't have, as I say, he doesn't have the biggest weapons, but then if you can get that utilised.
It is the case on grass. If you've got the serve, you're going to get a few free points, and that does certainly help. Anything else on the men's side before we briefly touch on the women's qualifiers?
Well, Yasutaka Uchiyama, he also got through, and he came almost very similar. He came through, lost a first set tiebreak, then won the second set tiebreak, and then won the final set 6-1. That was against Tim van Rijthoven, who obviously he may remember he had a lot of success on grass. He just sort of briefly exploded onto the scene because he won a 250 before he'd even won a challenger when he beat Medvedev. This was a tournament in his home country, Rosemount, and that was obviously so surprising. And then he did I think he got to the fourth round of Wimbledon, but then he sort of almost fell away as quickly as he rose, and he's come back here with the protected ranking. He's obviously spent some time out with injured, but Uchiyama gets through, and Uchiyama himself is a guy that likes to take the ball early, come to the net, so he's got a game that hits it fairly flat, so he's got a game that can work on the surface, and he serves pretty well himself. So but the problem is that for Uchiyama now, he has to play David Goffin, who just won the title in Ilkley, and he came through very comfortably in his first round.
Right.
So we'll see how that goes. Maybe it could be a good match, Uchiyama against Goffin, but I'm expecting Goffin to get through that one. And then as far as any other players are still there, we've just touched briefly. Timofey Skatov is there of Kazakhstan. He's been okay recently, but let's see if he can get through. I mean, I don't think it's the strongest section that he's in. And then we've also got the Japanese player Sho Shimabukuro, who's against Josef Kovalik in the first round. I don't think that's a terribly tough seed, but I'm not sure Sho is quite at the level to get through all of the qualies, but that's where I'm at just now. And then I guess we should move on to the women's side.
So the women's, the draw only just came out in the last few moments, isn't it? So I'm not going to pretend I've seen any of it. Have you?
Yeah, I mean, I just looked at it briefly, so this is basically just me looking at it fresh now. But what clearly caught my eyes, in the second section, we have actually 5 Asian players there. So we've
really? Oh, well.
Yeah, so the second seed...
we should sponsor that section.
Yeah, if they would let us, sure. We've got Bai, what's her name? Yeah, sorry, Bai Zhaoshan of China.
Right.
She's playing another Chinese player, Gao Jinyu. Bai is the second seed. So, I mean, I would expect actually her to get through that one. I mean, so you're expecting a Chinese player to get through, but then the winner of that will play Lanlana Tararudi of Thailand, the young
right.
up and coming player, 19. Yes,
Who we have followed through those challenges in China over the last couple
some
of
of
months.
the more, I think, the ITF events. She plays a
ITF events,
Julia Avdiva of Russia. I think that is a winnable match for her. So, but let's see. Tara Rodi she got a couple of matches under her belt in the grass season. She won a couple of qualies and then a main draw match. I mean, it's obviously you have such limited time to get competitive matches under your belt here, but it'll be interesting to see how she does. And then also the other all Asian matches, it's Zarina Diaz using her protected ranking against another Thai player, Mananchaya Sawankau of she's also a 21-year-old and is newly within the top 200. We talked about her before. So, and she won a title, a 50k at the start of this year. So, and she seems to be slowly progressing. So it will be interesting to see how that goes. And then, so just, sorry, I need to get the drop again. Yeah, hang on a minute.
This is what happens when it comes out live while we're actually doing it, when they actually publish the draws.
I've got it actually here on the Wimbledon
while we're recording.
website. Yeah. So, I mean, Zarina Diaz, obviously she's come a long time out. I'm not expecting her, so I would fancy.
Right, she only restarted playing in Japan like a month or so ago.
Yeah. I mean, I follow her Instagram, and she's been practicing on the grass, but I'm not sure that that's going to be enough to get her through against a player who's been playing much more regularly. And we'll see how that section goes. Obviously, high chances for an Asian player to get through. I mean, you might maybe fancy Bai, but then Tara Rudi is someone to keep an eye on as well. And moving further down the draw, we have to move much further down, I think. So we've got Shilia Wei, who's another upcoming Chinese player. She will play Justina Mikloskaite, and possibly they'll have to play either Susan Lamont or Sonny Cartel in the next round. So that might be difficult, though. That's going to be a potentially difficult round after that. So, and then moving further down, we've got another Chinese player in this. So we've got Ma Yexin of China, who will play Nuria Parisas Diaz. So, and there's also Arina Rodionova in that section, who's played obviously a lot of the Asian events out here. I mean, she's been playing pretty well recently, so that might be a difficult one. Kim Beryl's also in that section as a 32 seed, sneaking in there as seeded. So, and she's playing Ariane Hartono, another one who's played a lot of the Asian events out here. Oh, definitely a few players there that could get through. Fancy their chances. And as far as the Asian players, that actually rounds it off. Is it for?
Rounds it off?
Oh no, sorry, we've still got much more. That was
we have?
that was just that was just the top half. So in the second half, we do also have, just going down here through the draw. So obviously we got plenty of Chinese players.
This draw has only just come out. This is why. This is not a lack of preparation. This draw has literally come out since we started recording.
I think, so we've got just Yu Zhaodi of China there, who is the only one remaining, and I think that's the bottom half. So as far as players that I'm expecting to get through, so we've also, I missed that as well, we've got Mayon Tama. She is seeded here at the number 13 seed. She will play Turkish player Zeynep Sonmez. Okay, she's actually been on the rise. I think, didn't she qualify for? She qualified for the French Open, actually.
Right.
And that was quite a big thing because obviously not many Turkish players getting through. Yeah. Turkey is also a country that's between Europe and Asia, right? So,
do we put it in our purview that?
I mean, I think technically they get grouped in Europe, don't they? Because they're in the part of the European, like
Certainly in
federation
football
events and all that
and
and stuff. Yeah, but
the Eurovision Song Contest and all
even though
that stuff.
geographically it is mostly,
Yeah.
I think actually technically Asia, right? So, but no, I think
Mm.
Maya Hontama, she will. She'll have to play either Polona Herzog or Victoria Hrunkakova of Slovakia. I do think, although maybe she has a good chance to get through that one. And I think as far as the Asian players, that pretty much rounds us off. So I think, unfortunately for the Asians, they're all just in that one section. I mean, well, I say unfortunately, but I mean, that's an interesting one to, because I want to see the younger players coming through. And I mean, I think there's quite a lot of men in the Asia, on the men's side in the qualies from Asia, which is maybe a little bit more than usual because, we kind of expect it. I mean, especially with so many Chinese players on the women's side. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to look forward to that. And I think as far as tennis this week, we'll be looking forward to obviously the Chinese players in action. We've got Zhang Zhizhen. He's going to be continuing in Eastbourne, and then also Jerry Shang. So I think I wonder if Jerry Shang has his match started yet.
He's probably already eliminated, but that's probably ruined our podcast by that. But no,
no, his match hasn't started yet.
It hasn't started. Okay. So Eastbourne this week, Wimbledon qualifiers. It's going to be an interesting week, and then the main events next week. Any other business tonight?
I think did we touch on Sumit Nagal?
We didn't touch on Sumit Nagal, did we? No, he hasn't played since Perugia, where he did pretty well.
Yeah, so because we were away for a couple of weeks, we sort of missed. Yes, obviously after French Open, I know that Sumit lost in that first round to Karen Khachanov. Obviously, it wasn't a great round. He probably wasn't feeling too great having to lose in straight sets like that. But then he said, okay, I'm just going to go on back to the Challenger Tour and play some events. And he came through and won that event, the first event that he played after French Open. And he did it very convincingly. He came through in straight sets in that fight. No, he didn't come through in straight sets. He came through the first set 6-1. He lost the second set tiebreak and won the final set 6-3. He started off actually. He played against Nicolas Bachelet-Vili in the first round and won that match in 3 sets. Also had a very good result in straight sets in the semi-final against Luca van Asch. But he took that title, big title in Heilbronn in Germany, and then continued playing in Perugia, in Italy, and went all the way to the final. Unfortunately, he lost in straight sets to Darderi, the number 1 seed, 6-1, 6-2. I think he was probably a bit gassed by the time he actually got there. He came to an incredible match because he lost in the second round, the round of 16 against GNS. He lost the first set 6-love, fought to take the second set hard 7-5, and then won the final set tiebreak. 7-5 in the tiebreak. So he was just really fighting hard here to get all the way to the final. Unfortunately, couldn't win it. Had a pretty good victory in the semis against a very experienced clay courter, Zapata Miralles. So that was a very good result. I think rightfully he's taking a break after this. You play 2 weeks back to back, every day, then you probably need a break. So he's just going to take a break, and he'll be playing at Wimbledon in the main draw. He's obviously got very little experience in grass. He likes to play on the clay.
It was a big effort to get his visa, so he's got to take the chance.
But for him now, he recently got up to, I think last week he was at a career high ranking of 71. This week he's at 72. Importantly, though, this means playing those challengers wasn't for nothing. This means he's now in a really good position to actually get into the main draw ATP events without having to play qualies. He's actually entered into Bastad, which is after Wimbledon. So Bastad, of course, is played on clay and is the one in Sweden, but it's an ATP 250 event.
Right.
So we'll be seeing him a bit more on the main tour. I'm guessing he's going to try and focus on clay. I always wonder, though, whether he should maybe play a few hard court events as well. He probably feels that he has the best chance of going far in an ATP event on clay. I think he's done pretty well in hard courts as well, though. So we'll see. It'll be interesting for me to see how much he focuses on clay versus, the hard courts going into, obviously the North American hard court season. So yeah, but I mean, I think for him, we're not expecting him to do well at Wimbledon, but yeah, he's probably happy to collect that. It's a pretty big paycheck as well, right? So. And who knows?
Well, that's a whole different subject, isn't it? But yeah, how much it is to lose first round at Wimbledon. But yeah, Eddie, thank you very much for joining me tonight. We've got a good week coming up. Eastbourne qualifying. The qualifying tournament is always fantastic to watch. Then we've got the main event. Thank you very much, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, or maybe even sooner before Wimbledon.
Maybe even sooner. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Cheers.
1-6, 7-6.